Hello everyone, Blue Moon Samurai here, and this is the second video for my film class series. This one is on foreign language films, or as the class was just called, foreign films. But it's more accurate called foreign language films. And so we're starting off with probably my favorite class, just because it just opened up my view of filmography, or cinematography. Not like I was opposed to watching foreign films, but just having an opportunity to watch a select few really helped me. Like, really opened up my idea. I don't know what I'm saying. As I said in my previous video, this is in order of when we watch these films. I do have all the papers from my class, but since Tier Maker kind of jumbles everything up in general, I'm not going to bother with it. And so let's just get started with the first film, Black Orpheus. This was a fun movie. It's just a retelling of the Greek tragedy of Orpheus and Eurydice, or as my professor called her, Eurydice. I'm not 100% sure the correct pronunciation, but Hades calls her Eurydice, so we're gonna go with that. And so it's set during Carnival in Rio de Janeiro. The music in this movie, even during the tragic part of the story, like, you just want to dance because it's constantly there. Like, the music is constantly playing, and no matter how far away, there's always just some music playing in the distance, and it's simple and it's fun and so colorful. I recommend if you want just a fun retelling of Orpheus. So our next film is Rashomon, which is very well known by renowned filmmaker Akira Kurosawa. It's a story about 3 people who are seeking shelter from the rain. One of them discusses a bizarre trial that he witnessed, and so it's a flashback to this trial. And it's a trial of a murder and a rape. And you have the murderer, the wife who is raped, her dead husband, and a bystander, or a random witness, I believe. And they each recount how, what they saw and, their perspective of what happened. It's so well done, and I really, really liked the testimony from the dead husband, because it was eerie. So eerie, but it's so well done. Next film is Aguirre, The Wrath of God by Werner Herzog, a very crazy man. I don't know if he's insane or he just is the ultimate risk taker, or maybe both. Honestly, the backstory behind the filmmaking is probably what makes it even more interesting. The feud between Herzog and Klaus Kinski, the lead actor. It's so crazy, and just all these things behind the scenes that Herzog went through. He forged veterinary documents. Someone lost a finger from a stray bullet. Herzog threatened to shoot Kinski and then himself. So Aguirre, The Wrath of God is a German film set in the Amazon forest. It's mostly on the Amazon River though, and they actually filmed and slept on the river, on rafts of course. And it's a film about the conquistador Aguirre and his quest for the lost city of El Dorado. It's a slow burn. It was one of the shortest films we watched, but it felt like one of the longest. It's just a slow spiral into the insanity of one man. And just comparing how the journey starts with all these people versus how it ends. This film, I didn't think it was the greatest film we watched, and like especially overall, I don't think it's the greatest film I've ever seen, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like days, weeks, months after seeing it. And I'm actually making a video on this topic about films that live live rent-free in my mind. And they're all like movies that like didn't like spark something in me, say like, oh, this is the greatest film I've ever seen. But they always made me think, and I couldn't stop thinking about them long after watching them. And this was the first film that like made me think of that idea. I want to watch more of Herzog's films. I watched Fitzcarraldo, which I borrowed from the same professor of this class because she has a whole bunch of films in her office. That was an interesting movie. It was okay, though the climax was so tense, especially with the realism. Welcome back. I've gained 2 doggies. We have a Dexter and a Penny. Yes, you're Dexter. On to the next film. This next film is a Danish film called Babette's Feast. It's a Danish period piece set during the Franco-Prussian War, and it's set on a really small Danish community that's like super religious, and it follows these 2 women throughout their lives. They're sisters. They're super pure and super religious. They're so devoted to their religion. They take in a French refugee when they're older. This is Babette. She used to be a French chef, and she gets the opportunity to create one large feast, the titular feast. And it's a slow film. But I can't say I didn't like it. Compared to the other movies, it was okay. The titular feast is just gorgeous. Don't watch it while you're hungry. I'm super excited to talk about this next film. It's Jean de Florette, which is another period piece. It's a French film about a small agricultural community. You have a rich landowner. When someone from the community dies, he's like prodding around their land, and he finds a great source, a great water source that could really benefit his crops. But the land and the house is being reclaimed to a family who are new to the community. You have a hunchback named Jean, and you have his wife and his little daughter named Manon, and it's about this rich landowner and his nephew. You're just trying to get on their good side while also trying to sabotage their progress in agriculture so they can drive them out and take the land for themselves. They hide the water source, and a lot of stuff happens. This film was the one I was least excited for when we were watching these films, but turned out being my favorite. There's a sequel because the stories. Jean de Florette was originally one 4-hour film, and then it was novelized, and then it was readapted into 2 films. And so this is the first film, which I absolutely loved. It was so good. I had to buy the films myself. And at the end of the semester, we were given one option. We were given like a free space, like a free option to vote on like what film we want to watch. We could have watched the film that we missed, which is La Strada, which is an Italian film I didn't get to watch. We didn't get to watch. We could watch other films from like the same directors of each of these films, which the one for Jean de Florette was the sequel, Manon of the Spring, which I'm just going to talk about now. As a standalone, I'd probably put it under like good, but with Jean de Florette, like, it completes the story so well. It's set in the future. Manon has grown. Her mother has left, but she still lives in this small community as like a shepherd. And she just kind of remains to herself, kind of resenting the town. And she finds a way to get her revenge for something that happened before. As I said, standalone, it's okay, but for the whole story, it ties all the loose ends together so nicely. And so if you watch Jean de Florette, I recommend watching Manon of the Spring as well. Next film on the list is Smiles of a Summer Night by Ingmar Bergman. It's okay. I don't know. It's supposed to be a comedy, but it didn't really translate too well to me. As most people familiar with the name Ingmar Bergman, he's a Swedish director, and so this is a Swedish film. It's a film about a few upper-class people and their servants going on a getaway together, and there's a weird love triangles and all that stuff. It's a romantic comedy. I didn't care for it. Though it's interesting that this film was an ultimatum for Bergman to himself. At this point in his life, he said, okay, either I commit suicide or I make this film. And he made this film. And that part alone is interesting to me. But yeah, of all the films we watched, I didn't care for this one. Next film is Bicycle Thieves, which is a well-known Italian neo-realistic film set after the war. And it's essentially about one family of many, many people in this during this time, just struggling to find work. And he finally gets a job, but he needs a bike. He gets the bicycle, he sells his best linens and stuff. Him and his wife sell as much as they can so he can get this bike and they can start earning money. Well, while on the job, someone steals his bike, and him and his young son go around searching for this bike. And it's so good, but so sad. Obviously, it's a good film. I recommend it. Alright, our next film is Eat, Drink, Man, Woman by Ang Lee, and it's a Taiwanese film. And it's about an old chef and his 3 daughters, and how they all live their own lives in comparison to each other. The opening scene is fantastic. If you like food, it's a good scene to watch. It's just this extravagant, preparation of a giant breakfast for just 4 people. But overall, I might have to watch this movie again, but I just didn't care for it. It was just, I don't know. It was just, I'm sorry, Dexter. I was just bored. I don't know, I just didn't care about anyone and like what they're doing and what they're going through. But I might have to like rewatch it. Hi. Are you coming back? So our next film here is Pather Panchali, which is an Indian film. It's the first in a trilogy centered around this little boy, Apu, who grows up in the other two films. And I'm interested in watching them. I might have to rewatch this again. But it's about a poor family just like trying to get by. The father is trying to get money and like he's just like really naive in like his ideals and like what he wants to do, like how he wants to help and like what he can do. And so he's often like away looking for work and stuff. Their daughter, who is in like a rebellious stage, his mother, the father's mother, who's just kind of like living there since she's old, like she can't really do much. And then the film is presented as it's from the perspective of Apu, who's just a young boy just in these circumstances. But watching it, I saw it more through the mother's eyes, who she was more of a realist. She was just so stressed out with like having care for an older woman who can't really do much for them. Her husband not quite understanding their situation and like realistically what they can and can't do. Her daughter who's acting out, and her young son who's just kind of in the way at times. I of course, no blame on him. He's in an unfortunate situation, but I personally watched it through the mother's eyes and just kind of felt bad for them. And yeah, it's an okay film. a classic Indian film, and I don't know, I want to rewatch it personally. Oh, I'm excited for this one. Okay. Our next film is Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. I loved it. Oh, I loved it so much. It was so funny. It's a Spanish film. You have a really young Antonio Banderas in here. And chef's kiss. And so it's a Spanish film about a relatively, like, she's like probably like B-list, C-list. I don't know. She's a television actress, and her lover just up and left her. And so this film about her going through that heartbreak and also trying to figure out why he left her through like a weird, like a bizarre turn of events with a ton of bizarre characters. And it's so funny. I recommend it. I loved it so much. Next film was actually the first film we watched in this class, which was Day for Night. I'd probably put it under good. And it was my film professor's favorite film of all time. It's a French film named for film technique that was used at the time to film night scenes. They'd film them in the dark and then put a filter over them, they'd film them in the morning and then put like a night filter. The French called it an American night because it's developed in America. Americans call it day for night. It's just a movie that's a love letter to filmmaking. The director himself plays a director in this film, and it's about these actors and like crew and the director just making trying to make film in the process and like techniques they use for it, while also encountering like just weird like personal and professional issues along the way, which will happen no matter what work environment you're in. And it was a lot of fun. I liked it. Alright, last film. This last film is a Japanese comedy called Tampapo. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It's so fucking weird. Seeing the comedy, I just couldn't help but think, this is so Japanese. So it's a Japanese, it's a play on spaghetti westerns, which were westerns made by Italian filmmakers. And so it's so fucking weird. Like, you have this lone, dark stranger comes in and helps the town and leaves. And he's helping this young chef become making the best ramen in town, and it's her dream, and they practice so hard, and a lot of more people come and help her along her journey. But along the way, there's a lot of random vignettes just about Japanese society, Japanese culture, and food. It's so random, it's so weird, but it's funny. Wasn't one of my favorites, but there's just the goofiness of it I loved. And I just have to share a little screenshot, it's probably gonna be here or over there, of a scene, a really serious scene where someone throws a piece of Naruto on another guy's face, and he's just glaring, all this goofy little fish cake is on his face. Oh my gosh. But yeah, those are all the films we watched in my foreign language film class, except for La Strada, which we missed due to circumstances. Oh, I loved this class so much. It was just so much fun, bouncing around the world and seeing what everyone has to offer. And so I recommend looking into films from different countries and just seeing how they perceive their culture or how they present certain topics. It's a lot of fun, and I loved it. With that all being said, the link to this tier list will be in the description below, along with a Linktree link. I've made one finally. And yeah, if you want to watch any of these films, feel free to tell me which ones interest you the most, which ones you have seen. Just yeah, say whatever in comments, and if you like it, dislike it. And that, have a good day. Bye. I love you, Dexter. I love you, Pen Pen. It's about Zeebies. No.